transformation, take me to the sea. Tell me how to break through rock, flow around what tries to block. Water be my teacher, water carry me. Water be my teacher, water carry me. Teach me transformation, take me to the sea. Tell me how you break through rock, flow around what tries to block. Water be my teacher, water carry me.
What a great collection of people that we've gathered here. There was, over the years, Tierney went out into the world and found all of you. And there's all of these special connections. You all share that. And when you have a moment, the person next to you, ask them for a story. Somehow there's students, peers, teachers, mentors, mentees, idols, kind of, all of those throughout the crowd today. So there's all the all the sad stuff, and the one thing that I did want to, many of you, and that was another amazing thing, is Tierney had so many worlds out there. Some of you I don't even know. But many of you, heard about this in a very unfortunate way. You got an email or a phone call, and it was just shocking. And the natural response, perhaps a little annoyed. Why didn't Tierney let me in on this? And when we found out 6 years ago, there was no way out of it. And her feeling was just that what is that going to do? How is that going to help people? So she kind of decided early on, a lot of people she just wouldn't tell. And close family, of course, all knew, and we knew the days with Tierney were limited, but we're just trying to look back at all the good times and all that we all had with her. Today's ceremony was mostly put together by her sister Danielle. So thank her for everything. To help kind of push this through today. Carroll Dunham, Tierney's collaborator, friend, is here to kind of orchestrate all of this. But mostly I just wanted to welcome you all. We have people from really all over the world have shown up. We've got more online that couldn't make it, really wanted to, that we're sharing with. And that mostly just thank you for coming out.
Welcome, everyone, and all of those who are coming in globally from around the world as we celebrate here today the extraordinary life of the incomparable Tierney Thys, who has brought us all together. But before we begin, did you guys know that a 4,000-pound sunfish can carry 300 million eggs? Or did you know that let me make sure I pronounce it right, Chromodorus reticulata, the disposable penis sea slug, casts off its penis after mating and replenishes it within 24 hours? And there is a tiny microbe with a mighty name, Mycoccus linovarus. Please forgive my Welsh. I certainly knew none of this, but Tierney, who dazzled us all, did, and she wanted everyone else to know too. I'm Carroll Dunham, a Himalayan and steppe medical anthropologist, a Buddhist chaplain, a National Geographic lecturer, and Tierney's co-founder at Around the World in 80 Fabrics. But most importantly, like many of you, I was fortunate enough to call her a friend. Tierney was an explosion of iridescence, of sparkling with ideas, curiosity, and laughter. She combined brilliance and fun with ferocious hard work and a profound sincerity and integrity. She didn't simply want to understand the world. She wanted to change it by deepening our connection to nature. We met through National Geographic family. We are a relatively rare species ourselves, women lecturers traveling the world on National Geographic jet expeditions. We shared a curiosity, a passion for exploration, and awe before all we encountered. We wanted to weave people together for solutions on how to live on the planet. Tierney had become alarmed by microplastics appearing in the ocean in our ocean sites, and by the discovery that roughly 70% of our clothing is made from petroleum, causing microplastic waste. We began with the question, what does what we wear have to do with the health of our planet? And that question became Around the World in 80 Fabrics. Together, we explored cloth from indigenous ingenuity to materials grown from fungi, microbes, and waste. We created an educational library of biodiverse fabrics and fostered global collaborations between artisans and scientists connecting plastic-free clothing with planetary health. And the work continues. We also co-authored Fabric, the Natural History and Future of Clothing, and Tierney tragically did not live to hold the finished book, but she saw its cover. And when it appears next spring, her voice and her work to protect the ocean will continue. Tierney was, like any good fish, at home in many seas. Today, we follow her life from the ocean and sunfish through filmmaking and science storytelling to TED and the wider world of ideas, and finally to her early life through those who knew her best. During her journey through cancer, I had the privilege of accompanying Tierney, and I was in awe of her fortitude. And after her death, I joined others in guiding her through what Tibetans call the bardo, the 49-day passage of becoming. And I imagined her among the molas, the nudibranchs, and the coral. Together, we bear witness to an extraordinary life and ask how Tierney's curiosity, her joy, and fierce commitment might continue through us. And no one better embodies Tierney's love of the ocean or her belief that knowledge must become action than our first speaker, a legendary oceanographer, National Geographic Explorer in residence, founder of Mission Blue, and the first woman to serve as NOAA's chief scientist. She reminds us that the ocean is not separate from us. It makes life possible. It is my great honor to welcome Dr. Sylvia Earle.
I have a message for my friend, Tierney. I miss you, but in a way I don't, because you're here. You are every wild place that I know. Mountains, beaches, and certainly the deep sea. It's been a while since we have actually had a chance to see each other. But just as I cannot see you now, you're here. You're everywhere. You, a unique spirit with an infectious laugh, I can hear it. And the curiosity that I could see when I first met you, when you came and worked with us at Deep Ocean Engineering, Deep Ocean Technology, building equipment so that we could see better the nature of life in the ocean. And knowing that you, as a student at Duke University, who would take the lid off in a way. You will always be remembered there for being who you are and taking that who you are to get to know some of the creatures in ways that only you, with your perspective and your joy and your sense of humor, your curiosity. Those big ocean sunfish, mola mola and all their kin. I can just hear you laugh as I say those words. Part of the joy of knowing you and how you care, not just for all of life on Earth that swims, that dives, that flies, that crawls, that gallops, that all life, part of those who value you and who miss you, but don't miss you because you're here. You'll always be here. Your spirit, your love of not just life in the wild, but humans, wild humans too. You're part of a family. You're a close family, but the family of those who share your love of wild places, wild things, and wild people. Tierney, you are here, and I'm so glad to have spent time with you. I wish there had been more, but what you give, what is still here, will resonate through the ages, through time. Thank you for being you. I'm so glad to be your friend.
And our next speaker will be the forest economy, forest ecologist and Geographic Explorer, TED Fellow, and Science Communicator, Nalini Nadkarni.
I'm Nalini Nadkarni. I'm in Monteverde in the cloud forest of Costa Rica, but I feel the presence of Tierney and all of you. During the 30 years that I've known Tierney, I've come to distill the Tierney way in 3 words: curiosity, generosity, and crinkles. First, curiosity. Tierney is curious about nature and people. We collaborated on a project to bring nature imagery to men incarcerated in solitary confinement, the most nature deficit environment on Earth. The result? Men stated that they felt closer to nature, their emotions were calmer, and they committed fewer violent infractions. This work demonstrated one of Tierney's central messages, the positive power of nature for all people. The second piece, Tierney was generous. I witnessed Tierney's continual sharing of information, of ideas, of credit, and of contacts in her interactions with me and with everyone. She was a weaver of a strong tapestry to help all of us better understand and protect nature. The third piece, crinkles. I am thinking of her smile, how her eyes would squinch and radiate these fine lines around them, each eye framed with those little pigtails that she wore. On a hike in the Olympic rainforest, we had one of our frequent pseudo-debates about whether oceans or forests were the more powerful agents of nature, and I forever hold that moment with crinkles in my mind. In 2023, at the Mountain Film Festival in Telluride, I witnessed all 3 of these characteristics together. 3 of us, me, Carroll Dunham, a dear friend, and Tierney, gave a panel discussion about disturbance and recovery. I spoke of my fall from a tree, Carroll spoke of an earthquake in Nepal, and Tierney spoke, for the first time in public, about her illness of cancer. Tierney showed her curiosity about how we might collectively come to understand disturbance and respond to it in ways that are generative rather than destructive. She showed her generosity and courage in revealing that part of herself which was most vulnerable. And she offered her response of humor when facing a disturbance. She gave us the crinkles under her eyes. So curiosity, generosity, and crinkles. I love you, Tierney.
So we now enter another defining world of Tierney's life, the Sea Studio years. And I think there's many of you here. And this is where science and storytelling fused and lasting friendships were formed. Mark Shelley, formerly senior series producer for National Geographic Television and Film, founded Sea Studios Foundation, bringing filmmakers, scientists, and environmentalists together to illuminate the planet's most urgent challenges. Tierney's collaborator and dear friend, please welcome Mark Shelley.
Thank you. Boy, what an honor. So in the late 1990s, a small group of friends who were colleagues and biologists and storytellers were brought together with this incredible love of invertebrates. And we decided to start this foundation, Sea Studios Foundation. And the idea was to do something special to help celebrate the 99% of the animal kingdom that don't have backbones. Soon after we formed Sea Studios, I was walking behind the scenes at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and there were these big holding tanks, and I saw this little butt up in the air, and head down, camera. What's this all about? I walk over, and head pops up. It's Tierney. She was looking at this ocean sunfish, and she was prompted to drop down and say, I'm Tierney Thys, and here's everything that I know about the locomotion of the ocean sunfish. And this, became a lasting love of hers, her soulfish, the mola mola. And I had to have her. So we had Sea Studios, we were going, and I got to know her over the last next couple of months, and during that time she ran a Big Sur Marathon. And I got to know more and more about her deep passion for all living things. And I thought, this person needs to be part of our little team. So she joined Sea Studios, and she soon became the director of research for Sea Studios. It was a big job. To do that, she was talking to scientists, researching the evolution of the animal kingdom. She had to verify all of the facts that we used in the 8-hour series that became The Shape of Life with National Geographic. It was hard work, and it was trying. It was all-consuming, as Brett certainly knows. But I could always count on her for a joke, right? Did she have jokes? They were often funny, but more often they were ribald. Ribald? Whatever, however you say that word. They were bawdy. And she loved a good joke. And her passion, which we all know about, her enthusiasm, was so deep that she had to get it out of her body before she could actually get it out of her mouth. She would walk up and she had some new esoteric little fact about some invertebrate, and she would come up, her whole body would start to go, her arms would shake, you know what, right? And then finally she could get it out. She was always like that. And what she also loved was a party, right? So the first time I realized exactly how deep she enjoyed a party was at National Geographic. Well, we were at the Jackson Hole Wildlife Film Festival celebrating the release of Shape of Life. And on Wednesday night, in the middle of the week, National Geographic puts on a big barbecue, and there were probably 1,000 people there. And through the crowd, I see this person. This looks a little like Tierney. But she had a big wig, sparkles, party dress, and 4-inch platform heels. And I just happened to find a picture of that outside. 6-inch, Danielle says 6-inch pet. This, Tierney showed up like this. And Tierney, the way she lived life, oh my God. I can't. She danced with passion and joy until the last note rang out. Thank you.
I want to apologize for my phone. I'm the one who had the phone that rang. Can you hear me? Okay. What I want to do is talk about Tierney and Chuck Baxter at Sea Studios, because Chuck Baxter was a dear friend of so many people. He was a mentor to hundreds of Stanford students. He was also part of getting the aquarium in MBARI going. But the important thing is their relationship, and it just needs to be represented at this event, because Chuck is not here. They work together on the research at Shape of Life, researching every sort of minutia about the entire animal kingdom. It wasn't just the invertebrates. We had to cover, which most of the animal kingdom are invertebrates. We had to cover everything. And of course, they were all animals in the ocean. And she and Chuck just spent hours and hours laughing and philosophizing and just having the grand time of their life. The other thing I want to mention is Anna Fitch was my roommate, and Tierney and Jeannie and Anna produced their first documentary on molds, the untold story, at my house, in my refrigerator, in my laundry room. And the party, she wore this at the party. So that was kind of the beginning. I feel like I was nurturing these three. And, Mark feels the same way. It's really a wonderful feeling. And I just really, really appreciate everything, all the love that she put into Shape of Life, because it's a love of mine, too. And I wish we had the video. You Shape of Lifers know what video I'm talking about, of them, the dancing and singing. Anyone know where it is? I don't know. The rap that we did at the aquarium. Okay, well now, a little more seriously, I just have to read this poem because it reminds me of both Chuck and Tierney, who are out there now. They both love poetry, especially Robinson Jeffers. So I'm going to read this. It's titled Inscription for a Gravestone. I am not dead. I've only become inhuman. That is to say, undressed myself of laughable prides and infirmities, but not as a man undresses to creep into bed, but like an athlete stripping for the race. The delicate ravel of nerves that made me a measurer of certain fictions called good and evil, that made me contract with pain and expand with pleasure, fussily adjusted like a little electroscope, that's gone, it's true. I never miss it, if the universe does, how easily replaced. But all the rest is heightened, widened, set free. I admired the beauty while I was human. Now I am part of that beauty. I wander in the air. And it just makes me feel so connected. It's all those molecules in the air. Eventually we'll breathe them in.
Sorry, give me a minute here. I thought somebody else was going to go before me, and I also apologize. There's so many people who've spoken so eloquently about Tierney. I'm here to reaffirm and reiterate all the things that were said about her. She, and I apologize also. I was told I have a 3-minute time limit, and okay, give me a minute here. So it really is like, I wanted to talk about Tierney as like the most amazing friend. I'm going to try to get myself together here. And I'm going to maybe just read, because then I don't have to think about my emotions here. Tierney was one of the strongest, most charismatic, most witty, most energetic, most driven, most supportive, most dedicated, most fun, most resilient, most generous, and one of the most caring people I've ever known. All these superlatives still feel like an understatement when describing her. I feel so fortunate for having met her and for her invaluable friendship. We met nearly 30 years ago as colleagues at Sea Studios. And while that was only about a year that I was here, looking back, there was something about that time and the place and the work that made it feel unusually special. Outside of the work, my friendship with Tierney grew. We shared time, conversations, poetry, stories, over long runs, cups of tea, glasses of wine. My memories from that time also include nights of salsa dancing and Tierney skillfully piloting on a bouncy flight across a windswept Monterey Bay. With Anna Fitch, we formed Chick Flicks and to produce a televised fun film called Mold, The Story Untold. For this, we traveled together to shoot in upstate New York and built our connections at film festivals in Boston and in England. This somehow laid the foundations of a lasting friendship. After I moved to the East Coast, we stayed in touch, and over the years to come, Tierney made time for the big milestones in my life. She co-planned my bachelorette in Vermont, a weekend of canoeing and girl time at the Mill House. She was there with a toast at our wedding in Maine. She co-organized and came to my first baby shower in DC. With Brett, she came to Cape Cod to visit and check in my early days of motherhood. And later she was part of my surprise 40th and there to raise a glass for my 50th in LA some years ago. Sorry. I'm that person that needs this napkin. Through the distance, the life changes in our busy lives. I'm grateful that we've been able to stay close. While she had a lot going on, and this is also a huge understatement, somehow we found time. I'm thankful for our phones, which helped us stay connected. And I really looked forward to our conversations. Tierney would always have interesting things to share. That said, she was also a great listener and made me feel appreciated and helped me as a friend and mentor. Even with her significant challenges, Tierney would call and ask how I was doing and about the difficult things that I might have been dealing with at the time. One of my favorite calls a little while ago was when Tierney called out of the blue at the end of a workday to share a joke that she had just made up. She was so amused by her own joke that she had both of us laughing uncontrollably before she could even get to the punchline. Tears were streaming down my face from laughing so hard. How many friends will call you late in the afternoon just to entertain you with a joke, especially one that they just made up themselves? And how often do friends get you to laugh to the point of tears? In addition to calls, Tierney also took time to write proper cards and letters. To top this, she'd often send thoughtful presents. She'd send rare and interesting books, things that she'd made, souvenirs from around the world, presents related to conversations that we had. And even as this past year has been, for her, physically so difficult, somehow she still managed to keep sending gifts. How did I get so lucky to have a friend like Tierney? I'm not sure how, but I know that Tierney made time for many of her friends and her family. Tierney set a high bar for friendship and for nearly everything that she cared about. She was one of my best friends, and one of the most amazing humans I've known. So sorry. Thank you, Tierney, for the richness, support, and delight you brought to my life and to the life of so many others around you. That's it.
Hi, my name's Sheila. And Tierney Thys was one of my dearest friends for more than 30 years. And I miss her a lot. I'm here on the edge of the floodwaters of the Wilson River in Queensland. And this was where I came when I found out that Tierney had passed away. And I went swimming out in the water. And all these hawks started circling up around and around and around. There must have been a dozen or more. They just kept riding the thermals up higher and higher and higher. And I was sure that they were gathered as a tribute for Tierney. And that's the thing I think that I miss the most about her, is just her incredible love of life and her amazement at everything. And every time I see something beautiful or interesting or fascinating, I think about how I want to share it with Tierney and how much she would appreciate it. And for 7 weeks, a group of us gathered after she passed away, and every Saturday we would gather and watch videos of her TED Talks or her research, and she lives just such an incredibly inspiring life. And you know, the reason for gathering every week was because in the Buddhist tradition, there's a belief that it would take 49 days. Her soul would be flitting all over the world looking for a place to land. And so I found myself looking at all these different beautiful places and seeing these beautiful animals or these amazing plants or all these different sparks of life and thinking maybe that's where Tierney's landed. Because that was the kind of place that she would find all these amazing wonders. And I guess I just really, really miss her, and really miss her amazing sense of humor and how she could turn any situation into something that would get us laughing and laughing till I cried. I don't know if there's anybody who can get me laughing as much as Tierney could. So I'm sure that wherever her spirit has chosen to land, it's probably brighter than it was before. And if you look for creatures enjoying life, beings enjoying life, and laughing, that's probably her. That's probably where she's landed. Anyway, I miss you, T. I look for you everywhere.
We now turn to TED and the wider world, where Tierney became a force on stages and screens, bringing the wonder and urgency of the ocean to millions. Jacqueline Novogratz, founder and CEO of Acumen, pioneering social impact investing, was Tierney's longtime friend, fellow textile lover, and supporter of Around the World in 80 Fabrics. Her husband, Chris Anderson, TED curator and author of Infectious Generosity, helped disseminate Tierney's ideas, and this April, her memory onto the TED stage. Please welcome Jacqueline and then Chris as they share their tributes.
When I think of Tierney, I think of light and sparkle, love for the sea and for the earth and for people, joy in the infinite. I first met Tierney at Chris's first TED. We were two of the few women speakers, both of us talking about how we wanted to change the world. And ironically, it's only of late that I've realized we were both talking about water. Me through the lens of poverty, drip irrigation. Tierney, of course, through her unforgettable talk on the mola mola, the sunfish, so appropriately. And when she was on that stage talking about that fish, it was impossible not to fall in love with her. For she was a serious biologist who also shone light, shone joy, wore flowers in her hair. She was the one you could see dancing late night in every circle. And I think it was partially this mix of so much love for people and the earth and for the sea and for her deep curiosity that had her capture hearts, capture minds, and bring so much new embodied intelligence to the world. When she went into her next chapter focusing on identifying textiles from across the world. Once again, she changed the way I saw things. I'd always seen textiles through my work in poverty, focusing on women and people. Tierney cared about all that, but so did she care about the biological processes that allowed for color and even the fiber itself. And again, she would bring these stories and this delight in the science that created the beauty that we all get to live with. What I'll never forget is that as Tierney died, she was still one of the most alive, present people on the planet. She would call and say, "What's the best book you've read lately? Send me a poem." She would send Chris and me gifts from the sea, gifts from the earth, all pure Tierney, with letters written in a poetic, present, grateful, never complaining way. And if I could carry that kind of gratitude and grace through my life in the way she did, I will be a much better person. John O'Donoghue, the Welsh poet, he wrote, "May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul." No one does that like Tierney did that. And because of it, she will live forever in the infinite, in all of our souls. And when we see that light and that sparkle, whether it's on the glistening sea or in a beautiful glistening textile, we'll remember our Tierney with love and so much forever gratitude.
Jeannie, I got to meet you during an incredibly challenging time in my own life. It was when I was putting on my very first TED. I wasn't sure it was going to work, and you came and lit up that conference with your humor, with your humanity, with your absolutely brilliant explanation of a species that no one had really heard about or cared about before, but then we did, all of us. You gave the mola mola fish just an outsized picture in everyone's minds as almost a representative of just how many amazing surprises nature has for all of us. But the bigger thing was you. You became such a core member of the TED community, a personal friend. I feel so lucky that we got to know you. It's of course heartbreaking that we've lost you, and yet we haven't, of course. You live on in so many beautiful ways. Jeannie, thank you for everything.
I'm here by the Mediterranean Sea, thinking of my beautiful, wonderful friend Tierney, thinking of all of our adventures in the water, in and out and around the water. We were snorkeling today, and I was looking at all the fish, and thinking about the time when Tierney and I went, when we were part of the TED Brain Trust, and we were roommates, and we were a little hungover at Scott Cook's house. And so she woke me up in the morning, and we put on our wetsuits, and we went out on the paddle boards and went to the kelp forest. And we dove underneath, and it was so beautiful. And she kept saying, she'd come up and say, "Look at this, and look at that." And I think there was no more amazing time to be with Tierney than by the water or in the sea. That she's so knowledgeable. You walk along the beach and you see everything, and she tells you about every kind of creature and their stories. And in the water is even better because she knows so much. And I treasured. I think I have met her. I know when I met her because Lola's 38 and she was looking at colleges, so was 18. So I met her over 20 years ago. She was pregnant for the first time, and we did a wonderful walk. I met her at TED, and then every single year that after, we would get together and see each other in New York. And she came to visit and do things at the Museum of Natural History. At TED, always the last to leave the dance floor, always to stay up too late and play, always to make a new friend, always to hear a new story, and then to get into the water, and then she was such a light. Everybody fell in love with her the first TED when she talked about her mola fish and did the most spectacular talk, and has done a number of talks since, and has done all of her work with TED Ed, and all of her, everything that she cares about and brings such passion and joy and delight, like Around the World in 80 Fabrics, and all the gorgeous fabrics and all the ways in which we think about and care for the earth and care for what we put on our bodies and educate and enlighten and engage and enjoy and make things so playful. I love it. Tierney, you've always been so playful, and that makes me so happy. And it makes me miss you even more, because I miss our jokes, I miss your laugh, I miss our playfulness, I miss our hugs, I miss our adventures, I miss learning from you. Always, always, always I can learn from you. And I send love. Oh my goodness, great. I send love to Brent, I send love to Cal, I send love to Bram, I send love to Danielle and all of the sisters, I send love everyone, and of course to Natty and her beautiful baby Lucienne, and to Lucienne, and so much love, and I miss you dearly, truly, dearly. I wish I could be with all of you celebrating in the beautiful, beautiful Carmel by the sea. All my love, Sonia.
Judy McDonald Johnston here to say a few words about Tierney to you all, her family, her friends. I tried to think of a word that describes Tierney. The word I came up with, which probably a lot of you would come up with too, is intrepid. I looked it up. I knew it sounded right. It said, fearlessly adventurous, bold and dauntless. Someone who faces danger or difficulty or the unknown with unwavering courage. I think that's really Tierney, and to that I think I would have to add contagious energy. A lot of people who are described as intrepid are sort of solo hero type people, and that wasn't Tierney. Tierney, you spend any time with her at all, and suddenly you're dreaming bigger dreams. You're ready for bigger challenges. She gets you excited about things that you can't achieve on your own, things that can't be finished in one lifetime. So with that, I guess I'm going to say something that I learned from other people, which is we don't really lose people. We have learned things from the people who leave before us. And if we are still here, they are still here. We can take what we got from them and give it to other people. So that's definitely something that Tierney showed me how to do, and I bet a lot of you had that experience. So I'm sending you a lot of love as we all remember what a tremendous person Tierney was. Thanks for letting me share.
And so now it is time for us to turn back before the sunfish, before the films and stages, to Brown University, where Tierney's life of curiosity, adventure, running, and deep friendship was already taking shape. Many of her Brown friends have traveled here today. You want to raise your hands to honor a beloved companion whose friendship lasted a lifetime. Speaking for that remarkable circle is Betsy Kempter, one of Tierney's dearest brown friends. Please welcome Betsy.
Hello. So I'm Betsy. I've known Tierney a really long time. We started out together as freshmen at Brown, and both of us ran track. I know, and a lot of you know about Tierney's exploitations in the endurance field, which are really incredible. But we started out together, and I first really got to know her on this run, and it was an ugly run. It was a run from Pawtucket. It was along this highway. There were trucks. They were too close to us. It was stinky. And it was sort of a run of attrition where people were just grinding it out, beating each other, stringing out along the road. And we grouped up together, and that's when I knew she had a sense of humor. And I said, you ever feel like you kind of wished one of those trucks might just hit you? And she said, free ride to the hospital. And it was a turning point for me as a runner and for our whole team, because Tierney was a team builder. She wasn't out there for herself, she was out there for the relationships. And she pulled us all together with her love and with her humor. And she earned the name I call her by, which is Tierney Thys. So I don't know how many of you know how Tierney can contort her face. Oh my God, she can make the funniest faces in the world. I don't know if you've ever seen grouper face. She's just got so many. And she can make you laugh so hard that your stomach is cramping and you're falling on the floor. And so this was my college experience. But we shared so many passions. We were both biology students. I was with her when she fell in love with invertebrate zoology. And most people take invertebrate zoology and they're like, yeah, there's the stuff, it's slimy. But Tierney, I mean, every organism she encountered, she would have to move, like the nudibranch, and she was just all over, like every single one of them was such a delight to her. And so we would go out and we would run really hard, and then we would eat healthy food, and then we would go to the library and study really hard, because we just had this idyllic ethos about getting the most out of life. And for us, running was a part of nature. It was a way to be a part of nature. And so together we sought out the most beautiful trails and, to just come as close as we could to extract as much of that life energy as we could. And we both had this mission to just understand all of nature and be a part of it. It was really beautiful. Jeannie was also really persuasive. I don't know if you guys know that about her, but, I was really young. I'd never been anywhere. I think going to college was my first time leaving home. But Tierney convinced me it was a great idea to go to the Andes. And so that's how, on the first full moon of 1988, I found myself at Inca Pirca, and with a slash of agave leaf, I had a new hermana de sangre. It was an amazing experience that just opened my eyes. It was really, really beautiful. And it was also there that I first met the llamas. So, quick fast forward, I'm a llama farmer today. So, it's fair to say she changed my life. Well, so we graduated. She went off to see studios. I went off and did some research. And without ever discussing it, we both end up in North Carolina in biological studies in graduate school. And so I was at UNC, she was at Duke, and we continued the great conversations, the fantastic runs every Sunday, beautiful trail runs, and the collaboration. And it just, our lives just continued to weave in and out. And she was there for every mile marker of my life. She was there for the birth of my first child, which was very difficult. But Tierney was by my side, and it was going on for days, and we were kind of ready to do something else. And she's like, how many more contractions? And they're like, well, we really can't say, it could go on. And she's like, okay, it's 100 contractions. And sure enough, that's what it was, 100 contractions, and there was my baby Clara. And I had to say, Tierney, couldn't you have picked a smaller number? But it was just amazing. And so she's still expanding. She's out on National Geographic. She's touching base constantly, inspiring me. Lo and behold, not so long ago, we recrossed paths again, and she's around the world in 80 fibers, and I'm raising llamas making local fabric and fibers in my town. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's like we truly are sisters in that the universe brings us together all the time. And we've shared so much over the years, her love of Brett and Cal and Grant, and she shares with me her love and her hopes and dreams, because they're such a beautiful family. And so I want today to invite all of you. So even this fall, when Tierney, it was hard physically for her, she came out to North Carolina to be on a panel. It was brilliant. She was the star of the panel, of course, but she was hurting, and she was ready to be done because it went on way too long. And a student stopped her on the way out and was like, "Oh, Dr. Thys, I love this field. Can you tell me how to break in?" And she just showed so much grace to stop, give this student her time, and inspire her to go on and do great things. It's such a beautiful thing. But Tierney has always been a fantastic storyteller. Like, while we're taking these hardcore sciences, she's weaving in travel journaling and literature through Order and Chaos, and like all the things. And so she was always pulling together the stories, and that's why this weaving is so beautiful, because Tierney has always woven together our stories. And so I invite you today to come back to the loom and write a thought, a memory, a prayer for Tierney, and some of the fibers from my llamas, and make a beautiful small tapestry that we can release into the ocean in honor of Tierney. Thank you all so much.
Before the music begins, I invite us to become still for just one breath. I'd like you all, if you want to gently close your eyes or not, and just picture Tierney at the edge of the ocean, poised between sunlight and depth, about to dive toward whatever wonder waits below. And let us hold her there for a moment, curious, radiant, and entirely alive. Now, let the image just carry us from the many worlds Tierney touched to the heart of her life, her family.
Hey Jammers, got a question from Snowflake Daring Friend who wants to know, do I like all animals in the ocean? Well, that's an easy question to answer. I like all the animals, from that barking sea lion that I hear in the distance, to the slimy hagfish, to the tiny little plankton, to the largest blue whales, to the toothy sharks and Christmas tree worms. Every animal in the ocean has a story to tell and surprises to share. What a great planet we live on, with an ocean full of animals that we haven't even discovered yet.
My name is Dr. Tierney Thys. I'm a marine biologist, filmmaker, ocean conservationist, and National Geographic Emerging Explorer. My overall mission is really to raise awareness of the importance and the wonder of the ocean. Someone once asked me, what's the one tool you would want to give any student? And I said, hands down, mask and snorkel. 98% of the living space on this planet is ocean. It sure helps if you can see it. Anytime you step off the land into the blue, you're in for an amazing adventure. I mean, the ocean never disappoints. Anytime you're in that living space, you'll have a surprise. You'll have something you've never seen before. So I also have a particular research animal, the ocean sunfish. The first time I actually ever saw a picture of an ocean sunfish, I remember, it was late in life. I was in graduate school, and I saw a little tiny picture of an ocean sunfish on the door of my advisor's office. And I said, that is the most ridiculous looking fish I've ever seen. It looks like a mistake. Where did the tail go? And I was studying biomechanics in graduate school, and so that was a biomechanical conundrum. So I've been following these fish all over the world, from Africa to Bali to California to Japan. They're found in all tropical and temperate ocean basins, but they're elusive. Depending on what country, what region of the ocean I'm in, I look for them in different ways. In California, I can use a spotter plane. Because they come to the surface, they're bright colored. They look like they're just lollygagging, sunbathing, but you can see them from an airplane. In other countries, they don't have that luxury. In those places, I look, I mean, they're really a silly fish. They have a big dorsal fin and they stick it out of the water and they wave it back and forth and say, "I'm over here." And so, I mean, they're kind of a biologist's dream. I think we have a lot of bad news, but amidst the bad news, we have lots of reason for hope. We have more marine protected areas now than we ever have in the past, and more are slated to be pushed through. That gives me tremendous hope. I see incredible hope in the eyes of my children and volunteering in my kids' school, which I think is so important. And I see in them this love and wonder of the ocean and desire to protect it. So working with kids gives me enormous, enormous hope.
So now I'd like to introduce those who knew her best, her family. We'll start with Victoria first, and then Lucienne, the sisters, yeah, of the beautiful musicians we got to hear earlier.
Among the many factors that shaped the life of our sister Tierney Thys were her birth order in our family and her name. Tierney was born on the last day of 1966, the youngest of 4 sisters, and the last child to arrive into a bustling family, a tribe of 12 cousins, many of whom are here with us today, celebrating her life.
As her three older sisters, we were intrigued by this newest arrival, and honestly, a bit in awe of her as she began to make her mark on the noisy, chaotic world she'd entered. She was spunky and smart, she had a good voice, and she could outrun and outswim us at an early age. And, as many of you have mentioned earlier today, she was very funny. Several of you here will remember Tierney and her love and her talent for telling jokes, but most which could not be repeated in polite company.
With Tierney's arrival, our sibling lineup shifted from 3 to 4, a perfect square. She, like her name, embraced both sides of our family tree with enthusiasm, the Tierney and the Thys branches, often signing her letters as T2 or T squared. From both of our parents, she acquired a love and a respect for animals. From our father, she inherited her passion for flying, a conviction that anything is possible if you put your mind to it, and an insatiable desire for adventure and exploration.
Our mother had wanted to honor her own family lineage and its Irish roots by bestowing her maiden name Tierney on her fourth and last baby. From her, Tierney acquired the gift of the gab, how to spin a yarn in rhyming quatrains or dash off a saucy limerick. Tierney and our mother often wrote to each other in limericks, and even Tierney's college application to Brown was written in verse, handwritten and in verse. Our mother, who couldn't be with us here today, wrote poems for each of Tierney's birthdays and for Tierney and Brett's anniversaries, every one of them. We believe she'd like us to say a few excerpts from those books of poetry that she had compiled, many of these written for Tierney. So here are a few stanzas from our mother, Barbara Tierney, and some of her early poems, just a few stanzas of those that we'd like to read in honor of my mother.
The last of 4 daughters, the last of 4 daughters, born the end of December, closed the year with her birth. That was one to remember. 9 pounds, 1.5 ounces for a grand New Year's Eve, the largest in the nursery. That was hard to believe.
With 4 healthy daughters and that last tax deduction, some thought we had started a gender production. But I'll tell you, those girls have created such joy, and that's what's important, whether girl, whether boy.
The youngest of 4 always kept up the pace. The last of the group, not about to lose face. With 3 talented sisters, you'd be lucky to bet that this little critter would complete the quartet.
Those photos of your first years entertain me for hours, like the one in the mountains where you're holding some flowers, or the blue ribbon one for outstanding dressage, and the dune buggy 4 parked near Terry's garage.
Or holding with 2 fingers soft puppy ears and tackling a ski slope without any fears. Or walking through Disneyland till feet turned to blisters to keep up the pace with their 3 older sisters. A footnote on some of the pictures here. Our mother realized early on that 4 children was the magical number needed for an annual Christmas picture, or a picture of any kind for that matter. So we would take our places in her various mise en scène and rearrange ourselves at her bidding into more combinations than a Rubik's Cube. Oldest to youngest, youngest to oldest, sometimes with the two big ones flanking the two little ones, or side-by-side sister pairs.
On a surfboard with conical South Asian sun hats, in the dune buggy in matching lime green ski parkas with all of our ski gear.
And cowboy boots.
And usually accompanied by assortment, on horseback in full equestrian gear, sporting homemade witches' hats for Halloween, or posing in our Sound of Music-inspired dirndls, complete with the aprons.
And usually accompanied by an assortment of our family animals: dogs, cats, birds. The staging of the Christmas picture was something the four of us dreaded, but it was also one of many family rituals that drew us together every year.
With four sisters in one family, there were, of course, occasions for sibling rivalry as we competed for our parents' attention and to be our father's favorite daughter. But most of the time, we older sisters were simply amazed by Tierney and the boundless energy and optimism she brought to every project she pursued.
As we all grew up, spouses and the next generation of cousins expanded the boundaries of our perfect square. We continued to marvel at Tierney's achievements as we gathered with her family for summer visits to Vermont, walks on the beach in Carmel, and lots of adventures to other places.
And we loved watching Tierney share her love of life and enthusiasm for so many things in this world with her own family, her children Cal and Grant, her husband Brett, and their animal companions. And we looked forward to their wonderful holiday cards every year. Over the years, as siblings, we developed our own unique connections and interests with Tierney. Victoria shared with Tierney a passion for clear and persuasive writing, the joy of making and sharing music with children, a love of textiles and the fiber arts.
Lucienne shared with Tierney memories of their alma mater, Brown, and the trials and tribulations of the long, long path to a PhD. Our sister Danielle, who was the closest of us in age to Tierney, likely shared many secrets and adventures with her little sister that were not told to the big ones. The two of them were very close, and in early March, Danielle shared, along with Brett and our dear cousins Anne and Beatty, the last moments of Tierney's far too short but incredibly rich and impactful life.
Danielle was largely responsible for arranging this beautiful celebration, for which we're very grateful. And in closing, we'd like to welcome her.
Way to set me up there. Oh, I don't even, no slides, I can't, I'm barely functioning. I'm so grateful for you all here today. And I wanted to share that I recently finished Stephen Fry's wonderful 4-part series on Greek mythology. I have not seen the Christopher Nolan movie yet, but one guy really kept sparking a connection in my mind because he's just the one who keeps going, you know, through every horrible twist of fate. It's met with cleverness, ingenuity, good humor, and curiosity. And I'm speaking, of course, of Odysseus. And what's amazing is that more than 800 years after Homer penned his epic, The Stoic Epictetus taught us that our circumstances are not ours to pick, but that our response to them always is. So this little bit of brilliance has carried humanity through the ages. Robert Frost may have put it most plainly when he said, "The best way out is always through." Or as I saw on a t-shirt just the other day, if you're going through hell, keep going. It's the same idea. Hope and honesty, refusing to cancel one another out. Tierney really embodied that paradox with so much passion and athleticism. She blasted through challenges that honestly would have flattened most of us. To the end, she maintained a mind-blowing schedule of travel, speaking engagements, writing, researching, producing, and mentoring, all the while showing up at 110% as a partner, a mother, a daughter, an auntie, a sister, a cousin, a colleague, a friend, a champion to creatures great and small. She was forever at the ready with some bizarre yet wildly relevant science fact, or a new favorite poet, or a freezing ocean dip, which is daily, a suspiciously competitive crafting project, my cousins know of what I speak, or an iPhone blasting Stevie Wonder so we could sing and dance like maniacs through the very sober halls of a terminally beige German hospital. And always, always, her deeply impressive arsenal of dirty jokes and that 1,000-watt smile. Odysseus's Ithaca may have been a rugged little nugget of a goat rock at the edge of the world, but he sailed toward it with everything he had. I think Tierney's Ithaca was more a state of mind that the world isn't perfect. It's just worthy of your full attention, of your joy, of your very best effort. She asked us to notice all the little things, to question our assumptions, to uncover our blind spots, to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is at the heart of what it is to be an explorer. And because we should love our one precious life enough to pick it up off its feet and give it a good squeeze. Those of you who have experienced that from Tierney know the rib-cracking pressure that she could exert in her stronger days. She refused to give suffering or frustration or hopelessness the last word. And by example, now calls us to hold enough drive and wonder and laughter in our hearts to belly our sails and navigate our way home. And even if we are lost and the sails go slack and we cannot see the shore, she calls us to remember there's an amazing world right under the boat.
We are all on our own odysseys, and we've gathered to celebrate this incredibly magnetic soul who's drawn us like fireflies to her radiance. Writing about evolutionary biologist Lynn Margolis, Maria Popova reminds us, we spend our lives trying to discern where we end and the rest of the world begins. And Tierney understood that the boundary is permeable, that we become ourselves through our relationships with one another and with the world. As Popov writes, we become ourselves through communion and conviviality with what is not us. This is as true existentially as it is evolutionarily, for symbiosis, not competition, is the mightiest propulsive force of evolution. Tierney, while she may have been an incredibly competitive runner, was evolved. Curious, witty, kind, and utterly genuine and generous. She possessed a shimmering intellect and a deeply good heart. She showed us how to meet the world with wonder and turn that wonder into action. She also faced a cruel cancer with extraordinary courage and dignity. And I want to thank Brett, Cal, and Grant for accompanying her through a journey more difficult than any odyssey she ever chose, and her sisters, her friends and medical practitioners who sustained her along the way. And that is Tierney's invitation to us. Stay curious, cross boundaries, connect generously. Build community and do the work of changing the world together. Just outside these doors, the park Tierney loved is waiting. Let us carry her into that living world and into the lives we chose to lead. If we can live with greater wonder, if we can recognize our kinship with the ocean, the earth, and all living beings, if we can love our friends and families more fiercely, then we will carry a little of Tierney with us forward. Go love the ocean, love this earth, love your friends and family, avoid petroleum-based clothing, and live fully, courageously, and wide awake. Thank you very much.